You want to give me a thumbs up when you're ready?
Yep.
Okay? Okay. Okay, it's 6 o'clock in the nose. We're going to call this meeting to order. We're going to start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask the clerk for the roll call.
Thank you, Your Worship. All members are present.
Thank you very much. Item number 3 is a review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Anything added or deleted from the agenda at this point? So hearing or seeing none. Item number 4 is the approval of the agenda. And I get a motion to be resolved, the City Council approves the agenda as printed. Moved by Councillor LaFerrier, second by Councillor Foley. Any questions? All in favor? That is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature tonight? Seeing and hearing none at this point, we will carry on. So, item number 6 is review and adoption of the council minutes. And I got a motion to be resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council held on July the 12th, 2022. And secondly, item number B is the special meeting of council held on July the 26th, 2022. Movement second, Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Any comments on those 2 sets of minutes? All in favor? That is carried. So, oh, thanks, sorry.
Yeah, now that we've adopted the minutes, I'd like to bring forward one of the resolutions in that package for reconsideration.
Should I be declaring a conflict, or?
Yes, I was going to advise that. It's just rewording on the resolution dealing with the animal control contract.
So we're dealing with that now, or as a notice of motion?
I think I was advised that we deal with it after the adoption of the minutes, not as it's a reconsideration, it's not an motion.
Well, the minutes have been adopted, they've been carried now, so okay. So if you're going to bring that up, I will declare a conflict. And I'll ask Councillor Hewitt to chair this part of the meeting, and I'll leave the room. So I'm declaring a conflict on this reconsideration. So, John, if you want to just outline where we're transitioning through what's involved there in a reconsideration. And Patricia, everybody's going to be able to hear you. So if you want to carry the meeting, or carry on chairing the meeting at this point, or you want to appoint somebody else, that's up to you at this point as well. So.
Yeah, I would definitely appoint someone else. Just Zoom makes it quite difficult.
So, did you want me, I think the mayor had asked me to explain reconsideration? Yes, please. Or the clerk, either or. Do you want me to go ahead, or are you good with it, or?
So where the section of the procedural bylaw that outlines, it states that no matter decided within a calendar year shall be reconsidered without the consent by resolution of the council, and such consent require an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members present and voting. So in order to bring back this item for reconsideration, we would first need to pass the motion on reconsideration. So in this case where Carmen has declared a conflict, and so 2/3 will represent 4 of the 6. I can read this reconsideration if you want, or you can...
Is that the same thing? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll read, it's draft resolution number, it just says 2022. Whereas Council passed Resolution Number 2022-393 on July 12, 2022 relating to animal control and pound services, and whereas Section 34.1 of the procedural bylaw Number 2008-160 states that no matter decided within the calendar year shall be reconsidered without consent by the resolution of council, and that such consent shall require an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members present and voting. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council agrees to waive the rules of procedure and allow a reconsideration of the animal control and pound services. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor LaFerrier, seconded by Councillor Jelly.
Now you open it for discussion.
And I'll open up for discussion.
Whalen has,
Councillor Wayne?
oh yes, sorry.
Oh, yes, can I call the vote on the reconsideration? Do you want to say a recorded vote? No?
Just,
Okay. All in favor? Oh, okay. Open up. Councillor Chan.
I'm not going to read the reconsideration motion. I would like to offer a friendly amendment to that motion to be dealt with prior to vote.
so first we will see if we can bring it back to the table to discuss the information, and then you can present the amendment at that time.
Okay, fine. As long as it comes back.
I'll call the vote. All in favor? Where's Councillor Hewitt?
Yes, in favor.
Okay. Motion carries.
Okay, so the resolution is back on the table for discussion. Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thank you very much. Whereas Resolution 2022-293 was passed at the July 12, 2022 council meeting, and whereas the resolution referred to the animal control and pound services contract was covered under bylaw number 2019-089 and further amended under bylaw number 2020-003, and whereas the wording of said resolution should state that the current contract be extended from month to month as per the terms of the agreement, and whereas council has cancelled the request for proposal CS RFP 003 2022. Now therefore the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores rescinds Resolution 2022-293 and replaces with the following. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores extends the existing and current animal and pound services agreement as outlined in the agreement month by month to the current contractor known as Animal First, and further that the Animal First provide proof of new location including lease and approval of facility from OMAFRA, and further that Council undertakes a full review of the animal and pound services through a steering committee involving industry experts, council, and public appointments, and further that the provincial government through OMAFRA be lobbied to make necessary changes to the Animal for Research Act to address no-kill facilities, and further that a request for proposal be presented and advertised once this process has been vetted and completed. I'll gladly move that.
So that was moved by Councillor Whalen. Can I get a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor LaFerrier. I'll open it. And so Councillor, I'm opening up for discussion with Councillor Jelly.
Yes, I would like to offer a friendly amendment to Councillor Whalen's resolution you read. It's simply, we'll be removing the last, or asking to remove the last paragraph that states, and further that a request for proposal be presented and advertised once this process has been vetted and completed. And I'd like it replaced with, and further that council, subject to the written consent of the applicants, continue to review the review of the existing RFP submissions, and further that the steering committee have a report with recommendations completed and in the office of the CAO by September 29th, 2022. I so move.
Do I have a seconder for the...
September 29th.
Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, I'm open to friendly amendments. I'm just wondering, we'll be in a linked-up period then, so are we enforcing something? I'm not sure, Doug.
If I get the information I've got, this money has been already budgeted, so we are not spending new money. Should, for example, but I can't see it because if we don't go back out, the city clerk would have the authority to do it, but there is money budgeted for this item. If I can, my reasoning for doing that is I think it's futile to go back out for RFPs. I think we need to move forward and deal with it in this council. And so that's my simple request, is that we reconsider it within. And the rest of your submission I totally agree with, is having an independent or a review of the applications and a recommendation made to council.
Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, again, I'm certainly open to friendly amendments. In fact, I think the wording in this, the rewording of the resolution actually benefits both applicants to the previous submission, so I'm not opposed to that at all.
So I need a seconder for that?
Sorry, did you move that?
Okay, so Councillor Ferrier seconds it?
Yeah, and I'm okay with that amendment as well.
Okay. So is there any more discussion? Can we get a vote on the amendment? Are all those in favor? Councillor Hewitt?
Yes.
Okay, carries. Now? All right, so I'll read this motion again. Whereas Resolution 2022-293 was passed at the July 12th, 2022 Council meeting, and whereas the resolution referred to the Animal Control and Pound Services contract was covered by bylaw number 2019-089 and further amended under bylaw number 2020-003. And whereas the wording said the resolution should state that the current contract be extended from a month to month as per the terms of the agreement. And whereas Council has canceled request for proposal CS RFP-003-2022, now therefore the Council of Temiskaming Shores rescinds resolution 2022-293 and replaces with the following. Be it resolved that the Council of City Temiskaming Shores extends the existing and current animal and pound services agreement as outlined in the first agreement by month to month to the current contractor known as Animal First. And further that the Animal First provide proof of new location, including lease, approval of facility from OMAFRA, and proof of liability insurance. And further that Council, subject to the written consent of the applicants, continue to review the existing request for proposal submissions. And further that the appointed steering committee have a report with recommendations completed and in the office of the city manager by September 6, 2022. No, sorry.
The date was September 29th.
September 29th. 2022, and further that the provincial government through OMAFRA be lobbied to make necessary changes to the Animal for Research Act to address no-kill facilities. So I need a mover and a seconder for that, or it's already been moved? It's already been moved. Okay. Is there any? So, questions yet? Councillor Jelly?
I do, if you don't mind. There's a paragraph in Councillor Wales, and further that Council undertake a full review. This is a steering committee. That doesn't appear in there. The Animal and Pound Services for the steering.
Yeah, the appointed steering committee have a report with recommendations completed by city manager.
Okay,
Everyone?
all right. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Councillor MacArthur?
Yes, I would just like to know who's on the steering committee.
We have to decide on who is, I guess we'll have to have a meeting to decide who's on the steering committee and ask for applicants for the steering committee. I know there's some people that have been interested in joining a steering committee. Pardon? You can add it to the PPE committee meeting this week. Thank you, John. Any other questions, discussion? Would we like a recorded vote? Sure? Okay. Councillor Hewitt, do you have any discussions from Councillor Hewitt? Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Understand we're having a recorded vote?
Yes, it'll be a recorded vote, yes.
Okay.
Councillor Foley.
In favor?
Councillor Hewitt.
In favor?
Councillor Jelly. Councillor LaFerriere.
In favor.
Councillor MacArthur. In favor. And Councillor Whalen.
In favor.
The motion carries.
So that's it? I'll ask, that was kind of easy, thank you.
Is Councillor Foley putting his name in for the mayor's job? I thought you were. Okay. Yes. Okay. Section 8, question and answer period. Anybody in the public, anything in the chat box? George is our only member from the public here. We got any questions for this council, George? So, nothing on the chat box? Okay, moving on, there's no presentations. We'll move into item number 10, the communications. And 10A is a letter from Michelle Karen, Communications and Executive Coordinator for the District Administering Social Services Administration Board. And it's regarding the 2021 Annual Report and Keeper's Strategic Plan that was received on June the 20th for information. 10B is a letter from Christine Ben, the community representative for the Business Improvement Area Board of Management Committee, and it's letter of her resignation received on July the 19th, and there's a bylaw to be presented under Section 16 of the bylaws. 10C is a letter from Rebecca Kidd, the Board Secretary for the Temiskaming Shores Police Services Board. It's a request for support and federal bail reform, and that's received on July the 25th for information. And 10D is Megan McBride, the coordinator for the Temiskaming Drug and Alcohol Strategy, regarding a proclamation request for the International Overdose Awareness Day. And that's received on July the 25th, and there's a motion presented under Section 15, new business tonight as well. So that's all the correspondence we have. I got a motion be resolved the City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10D according to the agenda references. We're moving a second for that motion, Councillor Foley. So, seconded by Councillor MacArthur. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. Item 11 is the committees of council, community and regional, and I got a motion be resolved the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the Business Improvement Area meeting held on April the 11th and another one on May the 16th, 2022. 11B is the minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board meeting held on June the 15th, 2022. C is the minutes of the Temiskaming Transit Committee meeting held on July the 4th, 2022. And lastly, the minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Police Service Board meeting held on July the 25th, 2022. Moving a seconder for that motion, Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Whalen. Any comments on those four sets of minutes? Councillor Whalen?
Just with regards to the minutes from the police service boards, probably for Councillor Jelly's benefit more than any, as I had a lengthy discussion yesterday with MPP Kirsner. He's the new Solicitor General, and I'll be meeting with him and Minister Downey on Sunday afternoon, and they're both looking forward to discussing this issue. So it's getting everybody's attention, so thank you.
Any other comments? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Councillor Hewitt?
In favor?
Okay, thank you. That motion is carried. Item number 12 is the committees of council, the internal departments. And I got a motion be resolved the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the Climate Change Committee meeting held on July the 12th, 2022. B is the minutes of the Building Maintenance Committee meeting held on July the 14th, 2022. C is the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held on July the 14th, 2022. And lastly, the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee meeting also held on July the 22nd, 2022. So we're moving a seconder. Move to Councillor Foley, second by Councillor MacArthur. Any comments? All in favor? Councillor Hewitt, you're in favor?
In favor?
Okay, thank you. Are there any reports by members of council tonight? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to notice of motions. Anybody got a notice of motion for council tonight? Moving on to new business. 15A is the Temiskaming Drug and Alcohol Strategy, the Overdose Awareness Day Proclamation. And I'll read this. Whereas the City of Temiskaming Shores does affirm and acknowledge the harm and hardship caused by drug overdose, and whereas we recognize the purpose of International Overdose Awareness Day as remembering loved ones lost to overdose and ending the stigma of drug-related deaths, and whereas we resolve to play our part in reducing the toll of overdose in our community, which claimed the lives of over 4,000 Ontarians in 2021, with countless more affected forever. And whereas from January to June of 2022, there have been 7 suspected drug-related deaths compared to 4 deaths during the whole of last year in the Temiskaming Health Unit region. And whereas we affirm that the people affected by overdose are our sons and daughters, our mothers, our fathers, our brothers and sisters, our friends, and deserving of our love, compassion, and support. Therefore, I, as Carmen Kidd, the Mayor, do proclaim August the 31st, 2022 as Drug Overdose Awareness Day in the City of Temiskaming Shores. Moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Ferrier. Any comments? All in favor? Councillor Hewitt's in favor. Is that going to make that unanimous?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Item B is Administrative Report CS 032-2022, Bill 109, the Planning Act Amendments. And the motion is be resolved, the Council for the City of St. Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS-032-2022. The Council agrees to amend the provisions of the Site Plan Control Bylaw 2018-097 to appoint the planner as the authorized person and the municipal clerk as the alternate authorized person in accordance with Section 41/4.0.1 of the Planning Act, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend the Site Plan Control Bylaw 2018-097 for consideration at tonight's August 9th regular council meeting. So, we're going to move a second, Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor LaFerrier. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. Item 15C is the January to June 2022 year-to-date capital financial report. And I got a motion to be resolved, the Council of the City of St. Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of the January to June 2022 year-to-date capital financial report for information purposes. And Stephanie's in the audience if you got any questions for her. So, I move and second this motion. Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor MacArthur. Any questions, comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15D, Memo 033-2022 CS, the Police Service Board structure. And a motion be resolved that Council for the City of St. Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 033-2022 CS. The Council for the City of St. Shores hereby directs staff to draft a letter to the Township of Coleman requesting permission for Chris Osden to continue in his role in the establishment of the Police Service Boards for the Twistring Detachment catchment area of the Ontario Provincial Police. So, moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor Foley. Any comments? Councilor Jelly.
Just a brief comment, Your Worship. As we're well aware, Chris had worked on this file from the beginning and had met with all of the townships and towns around the area concerning the new police service board structure for detachments. And it's my suggestion, and I did speak to Chris to make sure he was okay with it, that we write a letter to Coleman Council and ask them if they will allow him to carry on. He is very well known inside the Ontario Government Office, and he has all the contacts, and the only thing that would be required is to forward the electronic file to him once we know that Coleman are in favor. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. 15E is Memo 034-2022 CS, the delegation of authority for the lane deck period. And the motion reads, be resolved, the Council of the City of St. Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of Memo 034-2022 CS, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend Bylaw 2022-099 to include the wording city manager or designate for consideration at the August 9th, 2022 regular council meeting here tonight. So, move a second for that motion. Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor MacArthur. Discussion, comments? All in favor? That would be carried. 15F, Administrative Report CS 033-2022, the Telecommunications Tower Agreement with Bell Mobility. This is the one on Morissette Drive. And the motion reads, be it resolved, the Council for the City of St. Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 033-2022, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a new land lease agreement with Bell Mobility for the Morissette Communication Tower for a term of 5 years, commencing on August the 1st, 2023, at a lease rate of $8,000 per year, plus a 2% increase for each subsequent year of the term for consideration at tonight's August 9th, 2022 regular council meeting. So, moving a second of that motion. Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor Foley. Questions, comments? Councilor Jelly.
Just a quick comment again, Your Worship. It's nice to see that they went up $500 a year and there will be an annual increase in it. So it stayed the same for quite some time, so it's nice to have some movement upwards.
They recognize the inflation, I guess. So, all in favor of this motion? All in favor of the motion? That is carried. 15G, Administrative Report CS 034-2022, the Next Generation 911 Authority Service Agreement. And I got a motion to be resolved, the Council for the City of St. Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 034-2022. that Council for the City of Twisting Shores approves entering into a Next Generation 911 Authority Service Agreement with Bell Canada for the provision of 911 services. And the Council for the City of Twisting Shores directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw authorizing the execution of the Next Generation 911 Authority Service Agreement with Bell Canada and all required documentation for the provision of 911 program for consideration at a future council meeting. So, moving a second to that motion, Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor Jelly. Questions, comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15H, Administrative Report PPP 004-2022, the appointment of a volunteer firefighter. And I motion to be resolved the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PPP-004-2022, and the Council hereby appoints Jacob Ryan as a volunteer firefighter to the Twisting Shores Fire Department in accordance with the recruitment and retention program. So, move a second, Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor MacArthur. Any comments? Too bad he wasn't here tonight. We could actually welcome him, but we'll pass on their sentiments from Councilor. All in favor of the motion? That is carried. 15I is Administrative Report PW 025-2022, the tender award for the supply, mix, and stockpile of winter sand. And the motion reads be resolved that Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 025-2022. And the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Don Adson Trucking for winter sand supply, mix, and stockpile services at a unit price of $8.75 per ton, plus applicable taxes for consideration at tonight's August 9th, 2020 regular council meeting. So, moving to seconder. Moved by Councilor Foley, second by Councilor Brown. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15J is the Memo 009-2022 RS, the Hillbury Fire Hall Project Update. And the motion reads be resolved the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 009-2022 RS, the Hillbury Fire Hall Project Update for information purposes. So, move to seconder, Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor Brown. Any comments, questions? Matt's here to answer them. So, all in favor? That will be carried. And lastly, Administrative Report RS 016-2022, the Building Maintenance Capital Projects Budget. And the motion reads be resolved the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report RS 016-2022. The Council update the project budget for the Don Shepton Memorial Arena project to $1,111,971. And the Council approves a reallocation of funds to the 2022 capital budget from the Don Shepton Memorial Arena Accessibility Project in the amount of $115,000 to the Nilisquard Waterfront Paving Project. And the Council directs staff to reallocate $120,000 and $120,015 from the Don Shepton Memorial Arena Accessibility Project to the Community Development Reserve, which was where it was taken out of. So, moving to seconder. Move for Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor MacArthur. Questions? Comments? Councilor Ferrier?
Yeah, not a question, but a comment. Nice to see we ended up getting more funding than what we were expecting. And just wanted to thank Matt for his detailed presentation to the Corporate Services Committee and his recommendations. So thank you.
Yeah, we actually received another $250,000 from FedNor over and above the first $500,000 that they committed to, so that's great to get that money from FedNor and put some of this other money back into our reserve there. So, any other comments, questions? All in favor? That is carried. And moving on to item 16, the bylaws. I got a motion be resolved that bylaw 2022-126 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-018, the committee appointments for the Nilisquard Business Improvement Area for Board of Management. Bylaw 2022-127 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-097 for the site plan control area. Bylaw 2022-128 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-099 delegating authority for certain acts during the lame duck period. Bylaw 2022-129 being a bylaw to enter into a new into a new land lease agreement with Bell Mobility for the Morissette Communications Tower for a term of 5 years, commencing on August 1st, 2023, at a lease rate of $8,000 per year, plus a 2% increase for subsequent year in the term of years. Bylaw 2022-130, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Don Adset Trucking for winter sand supply, mix, and stockpile services at a rate of $8.75 per ton, plus applicable taxes. Bylaw 2022-131, being a bylaw to appoint Tammy Caldwell as an interim city manager for the city of Twisting Shores for a 5-week period effective August the 19th, 2022, since John wouldn't extend this 8 weeks. Bylaw 2022-132, being a bylaw to appoint Amy Vickery as our new city manager for the city of Twisting Shores effective September the 19th, 2022. These bylaws be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. So, mover and seconder, Councillor Ferrier, Councillor Jelly. All in favor? That would be carried. And motion be resolved that bylaw 2022-126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, and 132 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporal seal affixed thereto. We're moving a second of that motion. Councillor LaFerrier, second by Councillor MacArthur. Any last comments, questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? Councillor Hewitt, you're in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. Item number 17 is the schedule of council meetings, and the next one is set up for Tuesday, September the 6th at 6 p.m. And subsequent to that, we go back to our regular schedule of meeting on the third Tuesday night, September 27th at 6 p.m. as well. So we reached our second question and answer period. Anybody got any questions at this point? Council? Yes, Councilor Renner.
Yeah, not a question, but I should have mentioned it during councillor reports, but I came down to the Summer Sizzler event that was held down here on the weekend, and what made me think of it actually was the appointment of the new firefighter. But again, our firefighters were down here entertaining the kids, and it was very well received. So, you know, I think we often forget just how fortunate we are here. So thanks to the firefighters, because it doesn't matter what the event is, they're always the first people showing up. So thank you for that.
And just one thing I probably should mention is I've been invited down to the unveiling of the plaque for the 100th anniversary of the Hillary Golf Course on Saturday afternoon. So that's 100 years for that Hillary Golf Course. Jeff and Mike have played a lot of games there. I'm sure there are a lot of rounds. So, any other questions? Seeing not, we've got a closed session, so I'll read the motion. Be resolved, the council agrees to convene in closed session at 6:50. Discuss the following matters. A, the adoption of the July 12, 2022 closed session minutes. Under Section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act 2001, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board for the transit negotiation. And C, under Section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And item D is under Section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act 2001, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board for 545 Lakeshore Road. So we need a mover and a seconder for that motion. Move by Councilor Ferrier. What time did you have? 6:50. What time is it now? 6:40. I'll give it 10 minutes. Gives you 10 minutes before we go into close. So we'll speak to the press for 10 minutes and then we'll be good. That good? Nope. Need a seconder, Councilor Ferrier, second by, who wants to second vote? Councilor Jelly? All in favor? We are adjourned for 10 minutes and we will carry on in closed session. So thanks everyone.